The bulls simply cannot catch a break. Bitcoin just dropped down to $80,000. In today's video, I'll be discussing what I think could be happening next, going over how I have been playing this market, my wins and my losses, and we'll also be going over what is sparking such a big correction. Now, at the time of recording this video, Bitcoin is back above $84,000. Was that it? Is that the low? I know you're tired of hearing it, but let's talk about it. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, so it's abundantly clear that the price action continues to be bearish in the short term. Every single time that we get some kind of rally on the 1 hour or even on the 4 hour time frame, Bitcoin ends up rolling over. And this is how I've been playing it. On every single capitulation wick that you can see on this chart, on the shorter time frames, such as the 4 hour, such as the 1 hour, I would go ahead and go long. Then I would move my stop at break even, secure some profits on the way up, but then we would come back down and we would tap my level at break even and I would get stopped out of my trade. I've been trying to catch this bottom as per my previous videos. Now, yesterday I did the exact same thing, but this time around we did not get a significant bounce overnight and I ended up losing out on $25,000. Now, I'm going to be open and transparent about this. I lost capital trying to knife catch. Now, today we finally got what we've been looking for to start talking about a realistic bottom. We got a massive capitulation wick. So you can see here that if I zoom in, Bitcoin dropped from essentially $85,000 all the way down to $81,000 in one go. Then we came back down and liquidated a lot of the longs that tried to pile in below this wick with their stop losses right here, and we went all the way down to approximately $80,600. Now we're getting a little bit of a bounce on the 1 hour time frame, but it's nothing to celebrate quite yet. At this point in time, if Bitcoin can start confirming this as a base, then we can start targeting upside liquidity. Now, my first target here in the short term would actually be around $88,000 if we are to see that bounce. But keep in mind, the trend is still very much down. Now, from a spot positioning, because I know a lot of you have questions about this, just because Bitcoin has dumped significantly, it doesn't mean that I'm just going to go ahead and offload all of my spot here. Every single time that Bitcoin does head into a bear market, we tend to tap into some crucial levels to the upside before moving lower. One of those levels is actually the 200-day moving average. So if I zoom out on my chart here and we put the 200-day moving average as an indicator, you can see here that basically every single time that we headed into the bear market, we managed to tap into this level and then we got rejected and moved lower. So here is, for example, one dump before the bear market of the previous cycle. We absolutely capitulated lower and then we got a rally up until this blue line over here, which is that 200-day moving average. Same thing in the previous bear market confirmation as well. If my chart will load, maybe it won't. But the point is, we typically do get a relief bounce, and that's currently what I've been eyeing, and it's also what I've been trying to trade. I will not be selling my Bitcoin around these levels right now because I do firmly believe that a relief bounce is to happen. Now, how do we approach this from a trading perspective? Because right now, this is a nice capitulation wick, but these bottoms can take time to form. Honestly, if we can start to get a daily close above this value area low, which was this previous range for Bitcoin, I would be expecting us to go ahead and move higher, and perhaps that would be the start of that relief rally that we've been discussing. Now, you can see that the 200-day moving average is actually all the way up to $110,000. Are we going to make it there? There are no guarantees, but in the upcoming weeks, I would be expecting Bitcoin to go ahead and move near that 100K level and potentially get rejected right around there. Yes, this is my confirmation. Unless we get a miracle with the weekly close, the bear market is in. I know some of you think it's far too late, but we always get those relief rallies. Now, what am I doing for my long-term Bitcoin stack that I accumulated below $30,000? Honestly, I will be selling around 30 to 40% on that relief rally that I'm expecting. However, I will likely just continue to hold the rest, because if you've been watching the channel for a while, despite the fact that I'm a trader, and yes, I've been extremely bearish on altcoins over the past few months, I still firmly believe that Bitcoin is the future, and we will likely be seeing Bitcoin at much, much higher valuations in the future. Now, Understand that I am just a guy on YouTube sharing my own analysis, sharing my trade setups, etc. Nothing that I talk about should be construed as financial advice, and you do have the disclaimers in the description down below. Reminder also, if you want to join my premium group to see how I am personally trading this market, you have that first link in the description down below, and you have all of the exchanges right here if that interests you. So let's talk about the potential bearish signs and of course some of the signs that we could be bottoming out from around this level. Binance Spot just simply continues to sell, and right now we are dumping for one reason. It's simply because there are more sellers than buyers. And it's not just Binance, because you can see here that we also have the fact that every single morning we get BlackRock depositing another 4,000 Bitcoins and 43,000 Ethereums to Coinbase Prime. What does this mean? They are offloading their bags. Now, it's not BlackRock themselves, it's the clients, but you can see this through the ETFs every single time. We got yesterday finally some positive inflows, and then they went ahead and dumped about 1 billion worth of Bitcoin. With this kind of selling pressure, it's becoming very, very difficult to see any kind of continuation, even when we have those long liquidation wicks. So we need to be cautious from around this level. Now, for me personally, you know how I'm trading this market. If you're in my premium group, I'm willing to take a stab at around these levels. But if you're not an experienced trader and you don't know how to do proper risk management, then I simply wouldn't recommend that you trade this price action. You just wait it out. Now, I wanted to also discuss the liquidity, because you can see here that on the 24-hour time frame, so much liquidity to the upside. If we go on the 2-week time frame, it paints the exact same picture. I find it hard to believe once more that all of these shorters will be getting away with it. In my opinion, there will likely be a relief rally, as I said, likely towards that 200-day moving average. Maybe we go ahead as high as only $100,000, but it would absolutely shock me if we just continue to go down in a straight line. But you've been seeing the selling. It's been ridiculous at this point, and there is so much sell pressure that right now we simply cannot trust any of these kinds of liquidation wicks. However, reversals are usually marked when we do get a massive wick, and with Bitcoin going down to $80,600, there is a chance here that perhaps this is the zone where the bottom forms before that relief rally. I just want to bring that to your attention. There's something else I want to discuss, because we do have an OG in the space, Credible, that has been talking about this 74K higher time frame support level for quite some time. We are currently in that demand zone. Now, according to him, if we are to bounce, it would be from around this zone, and we can still technically make new all-time highs. Now, I am not of the opinion that this is the case. My invalidation level was the 98K weekly invalidation level, and you can see right now that we are 2 weeks in a row looking like we're going to close below $98,000 unless we get an absolute miracle and Bitcoin just pumps $15,000 from here. Highly unlikely, guys. So to repeat myself, on that relief rally, I will be offloading some of my Bitcoin, but I will not be selling everything, because I did go ahead and accumulate some below $30,000 in the bear market. That is my long-term holding that I will continue to hold likely forever. Now, I'll of course on the channel tell you as soon as I start initiating some more spot buys for Bitcoin and what I'm doing from a trading perspective. But for now, if you're not a seasoned trader, it's perfectly okay to just sit on your hands and let the price action play out. Now, we have to talk about this Bitcoin exchange liquidation map. There is literally around 15 times more cumulative short liquidation leverage in the market compared to cumulative long liquidation leverage in the market. And believe me, when we do get the relief rally, you likely won't believe it, and we're just going to keep on pumping until we eventually get invalidated around those higher levels, namely between $100,000 and $110,000 is really where I'm looking at for us to go ahead and potentially roll over again. Now, there are some metrics that are suggesting that after this capitulation wick that we got today, we could potentially be bottoming. First and foremost, the Bitcoin realized losses just spiked to levels last seen during the FTX collapse. We also have the fact that we are seeing some signs of bottoming, because after we got this liquidation event, the positive order book depth delta on Binance Spot Market was the deepest depth we've seen in a while. This is a very, very rare case. And on top of this, we do have the fact that whales continue to buy the Bitcoin dip. Right here, you can see that the numbers of entity with over 1K of Bitcoin just continues to absolutely soar here. So this is indeed a positive sign in my opinion. Now, there's a couple of other things. Bitcoin is its most oversold since August of 2023. This is pretty massive. These are often lagging indicators. It doesn't mean that we have to immediately reverse from here, but I would be expecting the relief rally to stem from around these zones. Now, we also got some news that polymarket traders now think the Fed will cut rates by 25 basis points in December. So the odds have indeed flipped. We went from likely getting no rate cuts to now potentially getting those rate cuts. What was the data that came out? Because you can see here that on CME Group, there is now around a 74% chance that we do get those rate cuts. Well, here's what sparked this yesterday. You can see that the non-farm payrolls did come in much higher than the consensus, and we also have the unemployment rate slightly upticking at 4.4% with the consensus of 4.3%. And I also wanted to touch on quantitative tightening because yes, the Fed's balance sheet did indeed get reduced ever so slightly, but remember, this ends on December 1st. And let's also quickly touch on the fear and greed index. As you can see here, we've been in extreme fear for basically a month now. Last month, last week, yesterday, now. Extreme fear. And just a reminder once again, if you want to trade the market as I do, you have all the links in the description down below. That exchange that I just showed you is actually Weeks, which you get 25% off all of your trading fees if you'd like to trade on there. Remember, I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy sharing with you how I am currently trading this market. I have a disclaimer in the description down below for you to read. Now, let's wrap up this video taking a look at, once again, Bitcoin dominance. Very, very interesting to see that Bitcoin dominance is continuing to spike. I told you I was a little bit concerned with my Bitcoin dominance trade because I wanted to go ahead and close it seeing that alts were showing some outperformance. But overall, when we get these massive liquidation events, like we dropped just now to $80,600, naturally Bitcoin outperforms the rest of the market. And this is why I've been holding on to this position. And that sums up today's quick video. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.